With no goal, don't be surprised if you end up nowhere. My friends, great day for our trades. We see 3 of them come to successful conclusions on these practice trades. We'll jump into probably the biggest takeaway from all of this. 2 things. The first is how helpful using the average true range can be when you set your profit and your loss bands. And the way, of course, we do it, if you've taken the wave training, if you've not, I'll put it at the end of today's video. I think I released it earlier this week also, but it just gives you a good idea. I'm going to put the wave training and the ATR, average true range training, there at the end of today's video for you. But you see how when we had the STC go from green to red, and we jumped into that trade on the afternoon of Friday the 7th, this last Friday. We jumped in, pulled the trigger. We went over here to the prediction tools, prediction and measurement tools, and we used a particular one, the short position. We set it up. We used the ATR, which is right, it's this red number over here on the left-hand side of the page at the bottom, in the bottom quadrant. And you will see where we set it at 7.38. So that's 738 ticks. We then double that because we have a 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio. Means we're willing to risk 2.03% for a gain of 4.06%. And we're basing those numbers on where the stock has moved in the last 14 periods. This is an ATR set of 14 period. So we're looking at how it's been moving, and that's helping us set that, which I would argue makes it much more likely that it's going to work in your favor because you're using some of the most recent movements. Now, what it's done in the past isn't indicative of necessarily what it's going to do in the future. That's why we set our loss band. But it gives us at least something to set it at. Now, that's the first thing to take away from these successful trades. The next is, we always talk about when you do set your profit band, you put in a good till canceled sell order at that profit. You don't just let it ride and hope in the future to be watching the chart when it hits a certain number and you can cash out, because many times those cash out possibilities will happen pre-market, post-market. I always make sure to set my good till canceled sell order pre and post-market, as well as, of course, during the market. Right at the beginning of the market many times. Remember, the market makers, you may not know this, the market maker is given a lot of leeway on how to set price at the beginning of any day. And that is where you'll see these crazy wild fluctuations like we saw this morning, both up and down. And look, boom, it hit our 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio right in there. It just went just a little bit lower, would have cashed us straight out. In fact, in our practice trades, it did. Cashed us right out of those. Absolutely beautiful. A reward of 4.06% in how many days? 1, 2, 3, 4.5 days. Is that not absolutely gorgeous? Absolutely it is. Following all the rules, seeing it work. Does it work every time? No. No, it doesn't. That's why we set our risk to reward ratios. That's why we follow the plan. That's why we jump into down moves when we're in a down trend. We're below the 200 EMA. That's why we pay attention to where we are on the 2-day chart and the weekly chart. And we assign power numbers to those, what we call our success multiplier formula. We assign 1 to the half day. And what's 4 times the half day? The 2-day. So we assign the number 4 to that. What's 10 times the half day? The weekly. So when we say we have a success multiplier formula of -15, that means that everything is moving in our direction. All 3 waves, we know that when we hear that. If we hear, hey, it's an 11, that means that the 2 days moving against us, but the weekly and the half day are moving. If you just, hey, it's just a 1, that means the other 2 charts are in the opposite direction. So, success multiplier formula, I'm going to put that one at the end of today's video too, so you understand that. So the wave, the ATR, and the success multiplier formula, all of those will be at the end of today's video. Over the next few days, you get a chance, study those. You'll know more about what we do and why, and what will it cost you. It's free. I would argue it's thousands of dollars worth of training for absolutely free, and we're not asking you for anything. If you want to support us as a Patreon member, great. We appreciate it. Not required. Free. It's for you. You know what 90% of the people who hear this will do? Nothing. Because they're losers. They're going to be losers in the market. They're never going to follow the rules. They're never going to set up rules. They're never going to have a goal. And you shouldn't be surprised if you end up nowhere. Just like the saying I started the show off with. But those of you who are dedicated, 10 to 15 minutes each and every day, you follow the rules, you practice trade. Hey man, the world is your oyster. But how long will it take, Tom? How long will it take? I don't know, but don't worry about how long it takes. Worry about spending the time each and every day, because once you master it, the world's your oyster, man. You got it made. But you got to put in the time. You got to put in the mileage. If you're not willing to do that, hope you like the sound of my voice, because that's about all you get. Now, let's talk about where the Qs are. The Qs also cashed out for us, 4.76%. Again, did it in the morning as the market opened. We had a lot of crazy ranging. Now, if you would have stayed in and hadn't set, of course, your good till canceled sell order, well, guess what? You're screwed. You could have lost, if not everything, most everything. Gone, bye, sorry, you lose. Same here on the S&P. In fact, you'd be in loss territory now. So same thing goes. We're still negative on the 2-day as far as the STC goes, and we're still negative on the weekly. So we're at a negative, well, we're still at negative 15 on everything, because even though we've had up candles, the STC is still negative. So we'll continue to watch, wait and see how this resets itself at some point, and if we can get back in and scoop a little more money out in our practice trades. What about 20-year bonds? Bingo, man. Look at what we did. We got really close back on Monday. And again, we just hunkered down, stayed in there, got really close on Monday afternoon. And then what happened on Thursday? We saw in the morning, bam, hit our trigger point, cashed us out. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. How much? 2.83%. So again, quite wonderful. Where are we on the 2-day? It's still negative, and the weekly still negative. So we'll see what happens. Hey, if it keeps going down, that's okay. If it rolls back over, oh, but I could have made, instead of 2.38%, I could have made 4%. You know what? Follow the rules. See how it works for you. Add it up, and and again, practice against us. Do what you think works. Try it. I never discourage anybody from coming up with their own ideas, practice trading it, holding themselves accountable. You figure out a better way, or a better way to do things on a particular stock or ETF or overall. Man, I am all ears. I have gotten so much help from students in the past who've come up with ideas, shared things with me. Whole reason we came up with the price percent oscillator was a recommendation from a student. Got us from the MACD to the PPO. Then, of course, we graduated what? To the STC, which is a combination of stochastics and the MACD. And we like it lots better. So things are going in our direction. Now, what hasn't worked? Well, gold got really close in the morning, really ranged down. We're at the bottom of the STC here now. And then in the afternoon, like everything else, it recovered some. Now we're still in the positive territory, so we shall see where things go. If they start going really south on us, then of course we can pull that negative to that inverse trade. Well, actually, with gold, it's not an inverse trade. It's actually a put, as we've talked about DGZ is the inverse fund in gold, but if you've taken our inverse funds, how to make money when markets crash training, you know what? That it's not liquid and it doesn't make a lot of sense to jump into. So that's why for those of you interested in shorting gold, you need our training available to our Patreon members. 3-part series, Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way, our simple yet effective way for you to learn by practicing how to deal with puts and calls, and we keep it simple. You hear all these collars and iron eagles, spread eagles, whatever they are. I don't do any of that. This is not complicated. This is simple, direct, what you need to know to use options most effectively. I like options. They are much riskier than simply buying stuff that goes up, but it works. It helps you magnify. It can work. It helps you magnify your returns. But again, you don't have to get greedy if you know what you're doing. So, gold pulling back some on us, or actually pulling up. We've talked about this the whole time. The 2-day still green on the STC. We do see it moving down. Got really close, but hasn't rung the bell yet for us. The weekly is negative, just below the 200 EMA there. Look at that candle. It's not a good solid down candle for the week. It's got some movement on top. Not what we want to see. We like solid red down candles with nice wicks on the bottom. When they start getting to be spinning tops, we get a little concerned because they're showing us what? That, again, there's some oscillation there in price, some indecision. We don't like indecision. Let's lastly go, we'll start with the half day. Let's lastly go to Bitcoin. Where's Bitcoin? Well, it popped up some of the day. At the end of the day, 1.33%. And again, where is Bitcoin? Well, this is the Bitcoin Future ETF. Where do we see it? You know, it's down on the STC. On the 2-day, if we take a look at things, what did I just do to my chart? I got no idea. I got rid of something. I don't know how I did that, but I'll be sure not to save this. I got rid of my STC there, but I've got it. I'll get it back in just a minute. But anyway, so what do we see? Well, we see things again right around that bottom of the, gosh, I did something crazy here. Anyway, at the end of the day, I screwed the charts up. I have no idea what I'm doing now, guys. I don't know what I've done to these charts. What I was going to show you is we're still hanging out about that 1820 mark, and I am so glad I have my charts saved because I've thrown stuff everywhere. Well, it's been a great day. 3 of our 4 trades, boom, have already closed out for us. Super successful. I hope you were involved in those. I hope you feel great. What are we waiting for with Bitcoin? For us to secure a bottom and some good strong up moves. That's not happening. We will be releasing, we've already released it yesterday to all of our Patreon members. We will be releasing to the general public tomorrow our charting crypto and commodities. I think you'll get a lot out of the commodities trading. They're always fascinating to look at. So you'll see that tomorrow. Patreon members, I did send out to you already the weekly vertical crossovers. We don't have a bunch of them. I think it's only 5 up and 2 down. We like to bring you 20, but when there's not 20, we're not going to make them up and give you a bunch of crap. So that's where we are. God bless my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.